Do you regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it?
Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, the worship of Satan.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and I just wanted to say a quick thank you for 4,000 subs. Now, as most of you know, I only really started this channel to expose the BS that was going on with the virus at the time. And I actually say in that video that I'm not entirely sure if I was ever going to be doing any more following that. Little did I know that 3 years later, I'd be 43 videos in this position that I'm in now. And I'm very grateful. So I just wanted to take this time to extend a heartfelt and sincere thank you to each and every one of you. And I am continually, genuinely humbled by all of your messages. Please stick with me, and yeah, we can grow and develop together. Okay, now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, if you've seen all of my videos, then you will be familiar with many of the entities that we're going to be discussing today. We are going to be looking at the one and only Horned God. Okay, now there are many variations of this entity that have been discussed over the years. However, for the sake of consistency and continuity, I will be discussing what I believe to be the main four that we see used and evoked in mainstream media. And these are also four archetypes that I have discussed extensively on this channel. These are Pan, Baphomet, Cernunnos, Moloch, and Baal. Now, we could group Baal and Moloch together because, as many of you know, scholars have argued that they are in fact the same deity. However, I do not agree with this view, as I believe that Baal was actually the son of Dagon, who was the fish god from Assyria. Some of you may recognize Dagon's iconography from the Pope's hat. But for the sake of this video, we can treat Moloch and Baal as representing the same energy. Okay, so why are we looking at these derivations of the Horned God? Well, as I'm sure all of you are aware, the people that are in power, as well as the celebrities that we see in Hollywood, they like to throw up a lot of hand signs and symbols. Yeah, and this is for two reasons. The first is to signify their allegiance to a particular entity, a particular pact, a particular philosophy. And the second is a means of communication for those who are in the know. Now, what is the most common hand sign that we typically see? It would be this, okay? In both forms, the classic rock and roll devil head. Thumb extended or not, it makes no difference. It's the same sign. And of course, both versions of this hand sign pay direct homage to the Horned God. So, following this logic, it only leads me to believe that clearly the Horned God is a very important character, because everybody seems to be throwing up his head. Everybody seems to be running with a Horned God. Why? That was my question. Why? What is it about this particular entity that makes it so prevalent in the entertainment industry and in Hollywood? So that was my goal with this video, to really look at who is the Horned God. Right, so before we get into the meat of this video, we're going to get some preliminary gematria out of the way. Of course, this symbol made its first appearance in the rock and roll and heavy metal scene. Now, the general imagery in rock and roll and the whole metal scene really has always been satanic and dark. There is a lot of open devil worshipping, there is a lot of open demon worship in rock and roll, and it seems to be one of the genres in Hollywood where pretty much anything goes. I mean, it seems like that now, but rock and roll's always been like that. I mean, you had Ozzy Osbourne, you know, Osbourne, born of Osiris, Ozzy Osiris born, Ozzy's Osiris. You had him biting the heads off bats on stage, and this scene has always been incredibly sordid, should I say. And things start to make a lot more sense when you realise that both rock and roll and reptilians are a four-way match. You know, so for me, there's really no question who's behind, you know, this kind of imagery that we see in the rock music, in the rock videos, and in the bands. One more thing I wanted to mention is that the term heavy metal which we all know as a music genre, is also a real classification of metals. And I'm sure you are all aware of chemtrails and what they're doing with them, but what you might not know is that two chemicals that are actually in that is barium and aluminium, and they actually make up the biggest percentage of the chemtrail. Now, call this a coincidence, but I find it highly, highly ironic that if you look at both of these metals, head over to their periodic symbols, you find that they spell BAAL, barium and aluminium. Bal. Now, I don't really need to say any more on this because it's just another string to the already obvious ritual that they're playing out and have been playing out for the last, I don't even know how many years they've been worshipping these horned deities for. So this is no surprise to me, but it's just stuff like this that really, really makes it hit home, you know. And if you look at their atomic weights, you see 137, which is the 33rd prime, and you can see 26, and God equals 26. If you go back and watch my video, The English Language as a Spell Part 2, I break down the importance of 26 and 33, if you want to go and look at that, because I'm not doing it in this video. Now, if we look at their atomic numbers, we can see 13 here, which I don't really need to elaborate on. You know, 13 is a pretty big number. We spoke about 13 a lot. 13 ruling families and whatnot, 13 bloodlines. You've got the unlucky Friday the 13th, which came from, you know, the Knights Templar who was murdered by the Pope on Friday the 13th, following the papal bull or the papal bow that was decreed in 1307. Notice that 137 again, 33rd prime, and this decree charged the Knights Templars with heresy. So 13 has been a big number for a minute. We know they love 13 and they're obsessed with it. 13 is also the M. Remember that. That's why M is imprinted so much on our consciousness. There are so many MMs in the entertainment industry. It's literally ridiculous. And they've even got a chocolate called M&M's, and there's a rapper called Eminem, and we have Meghan Markle, and there's just MMs everywhere, believe me. And they do that because it's 13's also it's a soul cycle number. It's a karmic number. So they want to keep us trapped in this karmic cycle. So they'll keep printing that M on us. And I think that's what that does, because that's what that 13 is also about. Now, we also see 56 on the barium, and this is a very, very important number, and I'm yet to really get into this on this channel. However, I will briefly say that 56 is obviously 5 and 6. 5 and 6 is a pentagram and a hexagram, and these are the two basic shapes. These two basic shapes are the fundamental building blocks of reality, okay? The six-pointed star is, in fact, the master key to the Jewish language, as you can see here. Now, if we add 5 and 6 together, we also get 11, which, is, you all know, is a quote-unquote master number. It's a number of duality, and again, this plane is anchored by 11 because this whole plane is run by duality. So 11 represents the earth, represents us. I will get more into the 56 in a later video, because for that we have to sort of go more into my idea of the ball is a world, and you know, we can get into soccer and other stuff, so that's just going to be in a different video. But just know this 56 is very important, and it is just as important as the 137 that you see in the other heavy metal. Coronavirus equals, you know, 56. So it's a big number. I just don't have the time to get into all of it in this video. My main point is, you know, out of all of this, it's not by chance that there is a genre of music called heavy metal, and there's a reason our government is doing everything they can to try and spray us with heavy metals. You know, it's in the deodorant, or in the shampoo, it's in everything. Why are they spraying us with heavy metals? Why is there heavy metals in the sky? You know, it clearly has a negative effect on our divinity. You know, and when you realize that two of the main heavy metals used on us, barium and aluminium, end up spelling Baal when you look at their periodic symbols, stuff really does come full circle. We will circle back to these numbers shortly, but for now I just want to keep moving because I have a lot to talk about today. Now, when I say that the Cabal love this sign, I mean they really, really love this sign. It will take you 2 seconds to do a quick internet search and literally see the hundreds of images of people doing this. Singers, rappers, actors, presidents, sports stars, CEOs, you name it. If they're a relatively famous figure in the public eye, then you can be sure that they've been seen throwing up the horns. And you can trust me on that. Now, I'm not going to bore you with hundreds of images of these people throwing up their public allegiance to the horn god, because you can go and do that in your own time. And I'm sure you're not here to be told something that you already know. The whole point of my channel is to try and take this information a step further and bring something new to light. Okay, with this being said, all of these horned hand signs, coupled with the fact that we know that Hollywood is a cesspit of Satanists and abusers, makes me think that there has to be a more direct link between the two. Now, the information that has come out over the past decade or so regarding the amount of pedophilia that goes on in the entertainment industry and in the church should be nothing less than astounding. It doesn't take a genius to make the leap between Satanism, Hollywood, and pedophilia. This becomes a lot more clearer if you are familiar with satanic ritual abuse, and I know that a lot of you are familiar with it either through my work or through your own research. I mean, just at the end of last month over here in the UK, we had this news story break about Philip Schofield's brother, who was arrested for, abusing a child. And if you're unsure who Philip Schofield is, he presents one of, if not the biggest and most popular breakfast TV show in the UK. And the fact that his brother is being caught in this scandal, I suppose you can say, is absolutely no surprise to me, and I have no doubt that the buck stops with Philip Schofield's brother. In fact, Philip Schofield actually took out a 30k injunction against UK media outlets to stop them prying into his relationship with Matthew McGreevy, who he met whilst he was still in school. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to say on that. You lot can connect the dots. You can go look at Schofield Gate if you want. So we know this is prevalent. This is happening. Literally a few days ago, we had the Dalai Lama asking a young boy to suck his tongue in public. I mean, rascal. What are we doing? What are we doing? That is the Dalai Lama asking a child to suck his tongue. I mean, it leaves me speechless. When stuff like this happens, it does leave me speechless because I get so confused how people can't see what's going on here. I mean, come on, people, it's clear as day what these lot are on behind closed doors, We know that all four of these deities are in one way or another related to these sordid acts that we see, okay? Pan, the goat man, plays the role of the Pied Piper, the head of the music industry, leading all our children down a very dark, over-sexualized path. Yeah, there are also many depictions of Pan performing sexual acts on goats. And what is a baby goat called? A kid. Right, so you see where I'm going with this, okay? Baphomet is linked to SRA, and Moloch and Baal are literally deities directly tied to child sacrifice, so there's a clear link here, and it's not hard to trace if you know what you're looking for. Now, in the song Sacrifices by Drake, which of course is just Drake's a Draco, I mean, what a surprise. He states, and I quote, "I made sacrifices, I've been balling ever since." Now, of course, the average Joe listening to this, it's nothing more than a line in a raptor song, or a rape song, or a rap song. However, to somebody that knows how these lot get down, you know what he's really talking about, okay? The word Ballin literally means to be the embodiment of Baal, or Baal, or Ballin, or Ballin. No matter how you say it, it's the embodiment of Baal. I made sacrifices, I've been balling ever since. Baal is the chief deity of child sacrifice. That's why in the rap industry, or the raptor industry, for lack of a better term, the word balling means that you have lots of what? Lots of money, lots of material wealth. What people fail to realise is that this is an ode to Baal, and those sacrifices are required in blood for that money. Okay, so when Drake says, "I made sacrifices, I've been balling ever since," you better know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about direct blood sacrifices to Baal in order to be balling. Remember, we also have the boy lover symbol that the FBI released, which made its appearance in Mouthy Buddha's video. Well, Drake made an album called Certified Lover Boy, and it released on the 3rd of September, 3/9. Yeah, with all that being said, I think it's very clear and self-evident to know what type of time these people are on behind closed doors, and the hints are there if you can see them, okay? With all that being said, I think I found the missing link that I have been looking for, and it's this match right here. And for me, this was the final piece of the puzzle. It literally just confirmed all of my, and I'm sure many of your, suspicions. Now, when I saw these matches, something hit me like a truck, and that was Google Chrome. I know that this is also a four-way match with the Horn God and the Paedophile. Now, why is this important? Well, this is important for a few reasons. The first being that Adreno is the name of Google's graphics processing unit. Chrome is obviously the name of their browser. Put it together, Adreno, Chrome. As we all know, Moloch, Baal, horn god variants that deal directly with child sacrifice. And we all know child sacrifice relates directly into adrenochrome. So what a surprise, okay? The second reason this hit me like a truck, this four-way match, and why it's important is because the Google Chrome logo is actually just a derivation of the 666, much like the CERN logo. Remember, we looked at this in one of my previous videos. 666 is, of course, the number of the beast. The beast is a horned god, okay? See how it connects? Remember, we saw a version of the horned god make an appearance at the CERN tunnel opening. This time it was Cernunnos, and notice he was standing as the five-pointed star here. So much symbolism going on. Okay, and the final thing why this is important was because Google Chrome was actually released on the 2nd of September. When we write that date out in shorthand, we get 2/9 or 9/2, 29 or 92. Devil equals 29. The devil is an archetype of the horned god. So again, we have yet another direct link to this horned entity. Interesting little tidbit, the Great Fire of London was also on this date, the 2nd of September, 29. No surprise, what year was it? 1666, 666. So here is this link again between the 29, which sums to devil, and the 666, which is the mark of the beast, which is a derivation of the devil, or the horned one, or the beast. You see, it's all connected, guys. This stuff is all layered. There are so many layers to this, it's unbelievable. Okay? This was, of course, yet another fire sacrifice to the great beast, aka the horned god, alright? And they say that 123,000 houses burnt down in the Great Fire. That number again, yeah? Now, I did actually want to look at another hand sign here, okay? And it was the classic OK symbol, which we all know doubles as a 666, okay? Again, so let's get into this 666 a little bit more. As I just showed you, both Google and CERN show the 666 in their logo. This is not done by accident. These symbols plant and unpack themselves in our unconscious mind. And these Kabbalists that design them are fully aware of this phenomenon. And that is why symbols rule the world. There will be symbols unfolding themselves in your subconscious mind right now that you have absolutely no idea of. Okay, and this is the side of human psychology that is hidden from us, that we've got no idea about. Well, unless you go out of your way to research the effect of symbols on the subconscious mind and the human brain, you have absolutely no idea the effect of them. It's sigil magic, okay? Every magician used to make sigils. Sigils are symbols. Sigils unpack themselves on either the practitioner or unpack themselves on somebody else in either a positive or negative way. You can have a positive or negative connotation packed into a symbol. So whoever looks at that then has that effect that you've put on it unfolding in them quite literally. But sigil magic is very, very real. Now, typically we see the celebrities coupling this hand sign with the one eye symbolism that we always see. And as you can see here, they even have their children throwing this shit up. What's even more important here is that the OK sign sums to 216, which we know is the 36 triangular number, and that is 6 times 6 times 6. Okay, so 666 times multiplies to 216. And the OK hand sign also shows the 666. So not only does the hand sign literally make 3 6s, but it also sums to the value of 6 times 6 times 6, which is 216. Let's take a look at 666. We're brought straight back to the reptilian and conspiracy numbers. Reptilian sum to 1, 2, 3 and 51, as does conspiracy, as does 666. Do you guys remember the Christchurch shooter who threw up this sign in court after killing 51 people? Yeah, it's all connected. And this image here that they had plastered all over the media, it was everywhere. This image here is a blatant head nod to Masonic rituals. The policemen on each side are playing the role of Jachin and Boaz, wearing the white image, whereas in the image in black and white on the right here, we have the actual pillars standing behind the initiate, whereas in this picture we just had the initiate and the pillars were represented by the policemen. And that is deeply, deeply symbolic in and of itself, because the police are actually the servants of the system, and they are actually the pillars that hold up this Saturnian system that we're in. You know, that's why they that's why they operate the way they do. okay? So, yeah, and that's why the Police and the Dracos are a double match with the 93 and again with the 51s. It appears to me that the paedophilic behaviour that seems to permeate Hollywood is tied directly to this horned god. And the signs which they use to show their allegiance to this entity and its cause are of course the horned hands and the 666, all of which I have shown is connected symbolically and numerically. This information should have shed some light on why, for example, famous artists like Joji show themselves in their music videos to be some kind of hybrid chimera being. As we see here, they've given him the legs of the beast in this music video. And it should also be noted that Joji was born in 92. Remember, 29 equals devil. And the devil is the main archetype of the beast. What's more is that Joji's new album, which is called Smithereens, has a song on it called Glimpse of Us. And the front cover image for this song is literally a huge reptilian eye. I mean, you can't really get any more obvious than this. The song's called Glimpse of Us. You know, I wonder who he's alluding to. One eye also sums to 93, a number we know is connected to Saturn and the Dracos. You know, it should be noted that this song was also released on June the 10th, which is Prince Philip's birthday. Enough said. I mean, if we just look at the most popular music artist in the world right now, okay, who is it? It's The Weeknd. And what's The Weeknd's real name? Abel. Well, Abel is an anagram for Baal, guys, okay? So the most popular artist in the world right now is literally Baal. Baal and Drake. Like, you can't make it up. You really can't. Like I tell you guys, it's really all in the names. It's not difficult. Let's look at Idris Elba. Idris is simply Iblis, and Elba is again an anagram for Baal. So we have Iblis Baal. What about Jessica Alba? Alba is an anagram for Baal. I mean, it just goes on and on, honestly, guys. There are so many anagrams of Baal and horned god deities that go on in Hollywood you would never even realise until you really sit there and try to pull all them apart individually. One more thing I did want to mention is that one eye is actually a 4-way match with people and a 3-way match with Goyim. This little set of matches here is very important to understand because we are the people, obviously. We are also the Goyim, according to the powers that be. With that being said, we are all essentially walking around with one eye, totally blind to what they're doing. So this sign works in 2 ways. First, to show their allegiance to the one-eyed god. And from my research, what I found is that the horned god and the one-eyed god are the same entity. So this sign simply works as a different medium to show you who they are really worshipping, because this one-eye symbolism is just as popular and ubiquitous as the horned hands and the OK symbolism. So there's clearly a link between this one-eyed and the horned symbolism. Now, there's another reason why this sign is so ubiquitous, and it's also because it's a slap in the face to us. And I've mentioned this before in my Black Eye video. If we go back to Egyptian mythology, we find that Set took the eye of Horus, and this act of covering one eye represents what happened to Horus, or the hero, or Heru. You know, it's literally a way of mocking us, and the numbers also back up this point. Max Spears is where I found this out from, and you can check out my Black Eye conspiracy video if you want to see his explanation of that. Okay, with that being said, guys, all I really wanted to do with this video was show you some really basic connections. The first connection being that between the horned hands, the OK symbol, and how they link in to the sordid activities of Hollywood that we've seen with the pedophilia and the abuse. And we've seen numerically they're a perfect link, okay? The horned god and the pedophile, 4-way match. We've also seen that the variants of the horned god deal typically with children, right? Either through means of sacrifice or through some other means, i.e. Pan as the Pied Piper leading the kids with his flute. Now, with that being said, all of these symbols are pointing to one thing, deity. There is one main deity, one main entity who has many faces clearly and many representations, but there is one deity who is being represented and who is being worshipped above all in this thing that we call Hollywood. And after what happened at Balenciaga, I believe we all know who is the chief deity. And the point of this video was to show you that all these signs here, all these stupid little hand symbols that they do, the stuff that people think has no meaning, the stuff that people think is just a coincidence, they're all just throwing up the same hand sign for no apparent reason. There is a reason. There is a reason. Okay? They're worshipping a deity who runs Hollywood. Hollywood is run off child sacrifice, blood magic, and sexual abuse. It's that simple. So it's no surprise that the horned god, the one-eyed god, and the paedophile all sum up to the same damn thing. And this is who we have been getting finessed by since they started this stupid Hollywood BS. And even before then, it just became televised with the Hollywood stuff. But just know these cults have been worshipping these horned beings for the longest of times. And that is why the power of the bull or the power of the bow is the most powerful thing right now on this earth. Because the bully, the bull, is the one who's really in charge of this planet right now. And that is who they are worshipping, and that is who they are signifying their allegiance to with these symbols.